And welcome back to the show, everybody. It's been a minute, but I'm back. I took some vacation. I've been working. There's been things going on, and I'm back. Plus, there's people saying that, you know, Chiefs, last thing I was doing was the MCPON letters, and people saying Chiefs only show up during August. So of course I had to take some time off then and show up in October. So here we are. We're going to get through, we're going to wrap up this MCPON series. I know we're after the season and everything, but you know, these conversations still apply as I've been talking about. All right. It's always good to refresh and come back to these things and conversate about them, see where we're failing, see where we're doing good at, everything like that. So there was a third letter that we did not finish, and let's jump into that. I'm going to try to keep it as thorough, but as short as possible. All right. So his MCPON, his last letter was on culture. Okay, let me go to a share screen here. I'm sorry. Share screen. Here we go. All right. Let me do some picture-in-picture here. There we are. I'll move myself down here. I'm sorry, I forgot to do that part. There we go. That's good enough. All right, so here we go. Last year we discussed how the Chiefs mess is the connection between officers and enlisted. This connection and partnership will be the catalyst to enable a great culture. We measure our contributions to changing culture with the attributes of deck plate leadership and team effectiveness. All right. First thing there, I'm going to say, like, I read through this again. It's been weeks now because I went home and stuff. Anyway, we'll get to that later maybe. The connect, I think a lot of people blow this up. Chiefs and enlisted and like all chiefs, enlisted, and officers. We are enlisted. We shouldn't like kind of classify ourselves as this own special thing. We should just recognize that we're enlisted. It's a connection of just strict chain of command is the way I look at it, right? Being able to take the officer orders and their mission and make it happen, right? I think some people confuse when we read things like this. Oh no, don't do that. That means something different. Okay. Deck plate leadership, visible, sets the tone. Chiefs connect with sailors by listening well, by being authentic, and by caring about their well-being. Sailors connect with chiefs who model ability, trust, loyalty, and respect. Are you out and about, engaging with the team in their spaces? Are you approachable? Do your sailors bring their issues to you without fear? Are you finding out about issues during a command climate outbrief or formal survey? Or are sailors coming to you with their problems early? So the first thing about that is, I think that's good. Like, I think a lot of this stuff, again, was like good stuff. Okay. Visible sets the tone. When I was back home, I linked up with my only LS that I had, right? We met up. He happened to be on leave. So we got some tacos together and stuff, and we were catching up and shooting the shit. Right. And, you know, it's something that there have been a lot of turnover in the crew, and something that he brought up that he said he'd been talking to other sailors with is about how they miss certain chiefs that have now transferred, because those chiefs were always out being visible and setting the tone. Now, he didn't say in those words. He just used it like in the more visibility, you know, that chief would be around, you know, talking to you, saying, what's up? How's it going? This and that. Like the real simple, easy, basic shit. I'm sorry, this thing fucking with me over here. It's distracting me. That you should be doing. Any leader should be doing. You don't have to be a chief. You could be the LPO. You could be the second class that's a work center soup, right? Are you walking around checking your junior sailors to make sure that everything is happening the way it should be? Okay. I thought I had some problems there. So, you know, anyone, and if you're not doing it early, then you're probably not going to know how to do it, or you're not going to be as good as it as a chief, and you're not going to be able to be authentic. You're not going to be genuine in your caring about their well-being. And caring about the well-being, that's a tough, it's not a tough, I don't want to say tough one. I say this a lot, right? Is like when people say, oh, you need to take care of your sailors. And I've talked about this plenty of times, right? I don't look at it as taking care of. I take care of my family. I take care of my children. I'm not there to raise other people's adults that they failed to raise with like fucking basic manners or something, okay? Where I'm there to train them and make them mission capable, okay? Now, that doesn't mean I don't care about their well-being when it comes to shitty barracks roommates, that I don't care about that they're in an accident. That's not, don't like get it confused with that. But also it's like some of the things, it's like they're like when we start talking about their well-being, this and that, and then when you throw in those catchy words of intrusive leadership and things like that, I think the Chiefs can take it too far, and that's where you hear horror stories of like too intrusive into things going on, right? And sailors are like, yo, like fuck, like what do I? I'm going home for the Friday. I don't have to do this weekend, and you want me to give you a Liberty plan, and then we try to spin it as, well, I care about your well-being. So do you care so much that you're going to have them move in with you? You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's always like a tread lightly thing there. All right. It says sailors connect with chiefs who model ability, trust, loyalty, and respect. Yes. But it's so much, not just because you feel that you model those things doesn't mean, we've talked about, again, like every sailor, every chief is different. Not every sailor is going to be like, oh yeah, that ability, that trust and loyalty and respect, it's always different. You could be like, no, there's a definition for trust. Yes. But we've had sailors that trust me, but don't trust somebody else. Sailors that don't trust me, but trust somebody else. And I can sit there and be like, well, I don't trust you. Why would they trust you? I don't know. Because there's some connection there. Okay. Out and about, engaging with the team. Yeah, like that's easy. Are you approachable? This one is hold on. This thing's bugging me. I'm sorry. I had a wire. My wiring's bad. This one, are you approachable? I've been told many times that I'm not approachable. Okay. My sailor has told me about many chiefs that they've had on the ships that they thought were not approachable. But I think there's so many layers to being approachable, right? Are you walking around looking disgruntled, angry faced, complaining about shit? Are you just the chief that's always fucking pissy, right? Like it's not even, it's just like you're pissy about being at work, right? As soon as you're there, you're fucking, why are you fucking, like, there's that unapproachable, but when the job needs to be done, they're still doing it. There's the approachable of, oh yeah, man, that chief is fucking cool. I like them. They're super cool. You know, I always go to them and get what I want. I could ask them anything or give them any problem, and they're always out there fighting for me. But that chief is also known as like, bro, like, why are you always letting these people off of duty? Why are you always letting them go here? Why, you know, there's that side of it too. So again, approachable, I don't want to be like, oh, everything depends, but your sailors should be you should be approachable in a way that your sailors respect your rank and your position in the hierarchy of the military, and trust that when you get these problems or these issues or whatever, that you're doing what is required of you because of your position. All right. And it goes back to like, it's not because a caring for their well-being. I take like the personal thing out of it. I don't need to care for their well-being because I like them and I think they're a super great person. I have to care for their well-being because it is my responsibility and within my job scope as a chief that when they bring me problems, I help them find solutions, or I go find motherfuckers that can. Okay. Like it is strictly like it's a business thing for me. Okay. And through that, sometimes you do build connections that do last a lifetime, and that's fucking awesome, right? But like your initial one, when you step on board, it is, I have a responsibility here, and that is to make sure you are trained, that you're safe, and all of that things. I won't go into all that, but all right. Bring you issues with you without fear. If sailors will always bring you an issue without fear, if it's not going to get them in trouble. All right. They're fearful when they're bringing you something, if they're like, oh shit, did I fuck up? That's when you don't hear about things. It's just like if you have children. Do children be like, oh yeah, I messed this all up? Unless you start raising your children at a young age, which again, we're not here to raise children. We're here to develop sailors in adults. Okay. Are you finding out about issues during the brief? Well, there, blah, blah, blah. All right. Coming to you early. Builds credible combat teams and warfighter readiness. That's in all bold. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Like, we got to ask ourselves how, maybe. Chiefs are a combination of doing things right and doing the right things. Okay. Like, those are more words. doing. I always feel funny about like the double word talk, like when people say you don't know what you don't know. That this reminds me of that, and I hate when people use the same words like multiple times back to back to try to prove the. I don't know with it. It's like, I mean, I get it, and doing things right. Yeah, like, you know, following the steps on the MRC card and doing the right things. Taking the problem that they brought to you up to the div or department head and getting the sailor help, right? We can dissect that and make it two different things. I just don't like the words as they use to like describe it. Do you have a comprehensive watch bill replacement plan? I'd say a lot of chiefs don't, and they don't know how to fucking do one. Okay, we went through this on last ship, right? It was like, we need this, and it was like, people fucking, what's that? I've never seen that. I've never done that. And I was like, are we fucking kidding? You know what I mean? Like, how do you not know how to do this? How have we not had one before? Right? These questions have been brought up. Why are we doing it again? I thought we submitted one. If that's an update quarterly thing, there should not be that much stuff to update. But once submitted, it's there. You know who PGs are coming in your PLs. Like, come on. Like, chiefs understand their maintenance, admin, training, and all other things that must be done. They must know when to do it and how it needs to be done. Absolutely. I was, going through the Reddits, and someone talking about a Sailor of the Year package wasn't complete, and it was their LPO's fault or chief's fault, and it was this whole story. That's like, if you go back a little while, a few months ago or something, I had like Chiefin 101. Yes. Maintenance. It's in Sked. Right? Like, it's right there. It's fucking, you should, Monday morning, that should be, if you're showing up not before everyone else is chief and having all this shit printed out and ready, and that's not to say like, you do it because your sailors or you don't trust your sailors do it. You do it because you need to know, right? So when that sailor doesn't do it, you're all right, well, fucking, you need to get here earlier, or this is the first thing you need to be doing, right? But here, look, I have it. You know what's going on for your tracking purposes. Hey, it's almost November. We're a month out. That E6 eval should have been routed a long time ago, right? I mean, usually evals nowadays are done like 2 or 3 months ahead of time, right? Hey, it's fourth quarter sailor of the quarter. That's coming up, right? These things are put out, these of the year, put out, discussed all the time. Those should, that is, to me, the administrative things should be like number 2 main job. Close is like a 1A, 1B kind of job thing right there. But besides, as MCPON has talked so much about, is the technical things, right? Yes, we need to be there for that in those training things, but a lot of times, like the first classes and second classes, they're still so close to it, and we chiefs have become so busy with this administrative parts that first class or second class might be able to train better to whatever's going within my rating LS work, right? Where technically, right, then I might be able to, and I'm okay. Like, really, I'm okay with that as long as the training is good and right. And then I will just come in with the experience of like, okay, but I've done it several times, and, that is all right. Also, this is a really good best practice also, right? Or maybe it's like one of those, no one has seen it because they're all junior, right? I've never seen this code. I've never seen this happen. Well, I've seen that happen, and this is what we did to fix it, okay? Or whatever it is, okay? But right after that, a real close second is this administrative stuff, because that's how sailors get trained and get better. It's through, and it doesn't sound right, but it is, like, through the training, through the PQSs, through the administrative work and burden that we have to do to make sure that the eval's good, that the packages are written, and all of that rests on our shoulders to make sure that they have everything and they're recognized for everything that they're working hard for, right? How are you actively looking for ways to improve your team's warfighting ability? That's a good one, just in the sense of like, let me go back here to that. That's a good one because I like it. A real good question. How are you? How was I? I don't know. I like to, I'm the type of person, like, I need my sailors, I want them in DC. Like, there's a bunch of different roles during the general quarters and stuff, right? But I want them all to be DC trained. I want them in lockers. I don't want them fucking skating in medical, right? And you're like, yeah, but medical's so important too. Okay, but medical is going to come after the safe pathway to the casualty or to the personnel is set, and that's going to be through damage control. So if I have it my way, I'd have all my sailors in DC lockers, okay, and learning that, because on a ship, that is, to me, your warfighting ability. If you're not in a combat rate where you're manning CIC or gun mounts or anything like that, okay. Do you really everything your sailors do for warfighting readiness? Yes, I'd say for myself, right? Like that is a one I always do. I'd always try to explain it in a sense of, if you don't do this, you're going to die at sea, right? In the sense of it is coming. The war at sea with Big Red, South China Sea, is going to happen. What are you going to do about it? Right? What are you going to do to make sure you stay alive, to make sure ship may stay alive, to make sure the ship stays floating, right? And a lot of people shake their heads at me, and you might be scoffing too. Let me know in the comments. But wouldn't you rather be ready for it than not? There's too much relaxed and, hey, whatever, it's just the Navy, right? I'm out here on a pleasure cruise. I got my Wi-Fi. I'm on my phone. Everything's good. I don't fuck, like, it's just a job. Man, like when things start going on, and people will point to like the Ike and them coming back and how they did a great job, and yeah, okay, cool, they did, right? There's a lot of missions flying, but those are the pilots, and then you got the maintainers that are doing it, and all that good stuff. You got the destroyers out there that have done good work, great work, even that shooting them down with missiles, tracking, engaging, all that stuff, right? Detect, track, engage, intercept, whatever it is. There's all of that, but it goes back to, if we're seeing it now, and there's ships coming home and crews getting combat action ribbons for these things, whether you agree or disagree, right? And you're out there, still on the deck plates. I'm here on shore now. Okay, did my time. It's your turn. Right? How are you relating it, and how are you making it stick? And for the sailors, the junior sailors, are you realizing it? That's a question I have for you. Are you realizing it? Like that it's getting closer and closer, and it's heating up everywhere we look. All right. Honors and rewards members of their team. Sailors connect with strong leaders who are competent, committed, and fair. A leader who will not remove their challenges, but teach them how to navigate through them. Oh man, that's a perfect one. I think I talked about this in a couple episodes ago. I've mentioned this before, right? Is every time we take away challenges, like too much challenges, too many obstacles, we're taking away a chance to learn, a chance of experience and growth, right? We say remove barriers, remove obstacles, and I think in today's world, we think Chief needs to remove all obstacles, everything. It needs to be a fucking perfectly paved road with no bumps, just like guardrails and just straight line, no turns, on super Tesla cruise control, and just like good. And that's taken away so much experience from them, and they're not going to be able to lead into the next generation as good. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say as good, but that's the only words I have. They're not going to have as much experience to lead with. All right, so we need to leave some things out there. We need to leave the challenges. We need to leave some obstacles, and we need to help them. And catchy word nowadays, we need to coach them through it, right? But we need to let them feel it, okay? If you're not putting them through the hard times, if you're not helping them be exposed to the challenges of critical thinking and figuring it out for themselves, and you're just always jumping in there saving the day, you're doing them a disservice, and you're doing the whole next generation of the sailor that they're going to lead, you're doing them a disservice. Our own egos can easily be our weakness. We must work to maintain a healthy ego and not allow false bravado, but instead spend that time celebrating our people. What is your plan for recognizing your sailors? How are you finding opportunities to help them excel? I think this is, there's a lot of good things I like that MCPON put in here, right? Because I've talked about my own ego. I think me and Nick, one of my part-time co-hosts, when I was in San Diego, right, we've talked about like having the humility and ego, and it's like it can be, our egos can easily be our weakness, And I believe just as easily as it could be our weakness, it's harder for it to be our strength. Because if you have that too much ego, you fall into like the not humble side, and it ends up being a weakness. But it's hard to keep it in check, so it is a strength, right? But you got to have that, and I want my sailors, whenever I was, I want supply department to feel it. I want them to know and feel we're the fucking best department on board. And I want the hate from all the combat, all the engineers. I want them, when they see supply sweeping of the quarters, taking of the years, I want like that cope and see the motherfuckers, right? Like we got this. But you keep it in check just enough to know that just because we won, 3 out of 4 quarters and we got 2 of the years, 2 out of 5 or whatever your ship might do, command might do, that does not mean that we're done being the best, right? Those people have now achieved something, and now when you get new supply people in, it's like, hey, you're coming into this great thing. Here in supply department, you know what we do? We win, okay? It's kind of like when you just got to think of it as like the team mentality, right? When you coming into a team or something, you be like, you just think about your favorite pro team, okay? And maybe they're not so much a winner, or think of your favorite, the team that you hate. You think, hey, look at the rafters. Look at the banners that we're hanging up. We've had these great sailors come through here. You might not know them because, they transferred and you reel it off and you give that new sailor this, like, we are that. And it doesn't matter if you're in supply and engineering, wherever it is, right? You want that. And that's where I think that ego can be a strength. But it's got to be checked, right? It can't be what MCPON says here, not allow false bravado, okay? How many of you seen, oh, yeah, we're great, we're this, we're great, we're this. And like, you're so great. You guys have not won anything. We got to throw you a bone because we know if we send up another combat systems person, 4th in a row, that we're going to start getting questioned. So let me throw you a bone over there, right? That's false bravado, okay? And we need to spend that time celebrating our people. It's interesting here in recruiting, they do give out a lot of awards for hitting numbers. And I think it's a lot of recognition, and that's not bad. But one thing that I've seen is like the recognition of chiefs, of being like and we make the joke in the fleet of like chief of the year and things like that, but they do have recognition programs for that in recruiting. So if that's something you want, go recruiting and you could get that. But and that's not the chief's not putting them in for that or anything. I think it's just upper chain or whatever. But going back to the how many awards are you writing for everyone else, right? And then not worried about yourself, okay? I didn't write an award for myself when I departed last ship. Why? One, I don't believe that in khakis writing it for themselves. That should be strictly written by the department head. And in my role as serving as a department head, it should have been written by the XO or someone. I'm not going to submit that, right? That's not. One is, what do I need to recognize myself for? That, come on now, like that's crazy. You know what? My sailors though, a lot of recognition. They all got multiple NAMs for the 3 years that I was there, and it goes back up to what MCPON said. They must know when to do it. When are you doing it? When? Do you have an inspection coming up? Did you just complete a training cycle? Where are you putting those sailors? Again, back to the Chief 101 episode. Where are you putting those sailors in the positions to succeed so it's easy to recognize or to get them recognized at the proper times and nobody's questioning it? Everyone knows that Sailor A did those things, and it's you know what I mean? And then it's just a trickle effect of the admin, right? But I tell you, as I say it like that, like it's easy, there's a lot of chiefs that don't do it right, that miss out on this because they're like, blinders are on and they're only focused on the technical. Technical is important. MCPON talked about it. It's super important, but we forget these things and we forget that 101, like when's the schedule due? What's the training cycle? All right, who's my sailors in here? Who's my sailors in that? I need these PQSs so they could do this, so they could support that training cycle, so I could put them in for that NAM, so I could get them for of the quarter, so I could get them for of the year, so they could make second, they could make first, they could be chiefs. It is really, the planning of it is easy. The execution is hard because you're not executing it. That sailor is. All right, let's move on. Team effectiveness here. All right, let's get into it. I'm kind of maxing and relaxing today too. Team effectiveness, emulate inclusion to promote connectedness. All right, so here's where I think I start getting lost a little bit. Okay, our mess must be inclusive. This goes back to like one of those ones where I feel like we're just starting to use words that are popular in today's society that we don't need to, but it's a forced function. We must generate mutual trust with our people by rewarding those who create strong outcomes and positive culture. This all sounds, again, it's through my own personal lens. So, we all have personal biases when we read things. Chiefs are humble servant leaders. Yes, we've heard that. We've heard that so much. What can we do to steer us away from the perception that the Chiefs mess is prideful and exclusive? Okay, so now I think we're getting somewhere here. Let me double back to the beginning of it, okay? When we say our mess must be inclusive, it is. It's been inclusive for a very long time. Does that mean being inclusive or diverse doesn't mean that there's still people within those organizations, any organization, the mess, the Navy, DOD, DON, or I said Navy, it could be anything that don't have prejudices against other people. Just because you label something inclusive, okay? People are still out there that don't like other people or feel certain ways about things, okay? Not to get too into the weeds of that. But you can't just say, we must be this. And it's like, oh, it is that. The mess has been very diverse ever since I came in 20 years ago. Okay. Has it gotten more diverse? I don't know. I can't say yes or no to that. And if we say yes, then is that a forced function of diversity and as here saying inclusion? Or is it just overall, like we're getting more diverse as a nation, and as the nation gets more diverse, those people that come into the military are more diverse and they move up in rank? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. I know for the last 20 years, we've been very, very diverse. I felt very included. I think a lot of people have felt very included. So I'm not sure why we lead this team effectiveness with that, right? And when it says we must generate mutual trust with our people by rewarding those who create strong outcomes and positive culture. Okay, like strong outcomes and positive. Oh, like I don't know. That's just, to me. I just like we must reward those who fucking get the job done, and not at the sake. I think some people really like, yeah, but you could be getting the job done while you're mistreating people. Yeah, you can, and I'm not looking for that. But I don't know. Maybe just because it's my experience that I've never seen anyone that was so good at the job that also didn't treat their people good. You know what I mean? To me, it's just kind of like it's hand in hand. You know, if the person treated people bad, they probably weren't. They weren't that great, right? Not as a leader, not at their job, probably because they're just a shitty person. Okay, and I like this part though, where we need to steer away from any perception that the Chiefs mess is prideful and exclusive. One, it's not exclusive. Okay, I think that is a very off the mark. I think it should be exclusive in the sense of it should take a lot of work. It should take a lot of sacrifice through your job performance and career to be selected. Okay, and you should feel that you're joining something special, and not in a sense of an organization or a club, but in the sense of the history of what Chiefs have done, and that you need to perform in such an exemplary fashion that your sailors can continue to trust the chief. Okay. Now, on the other hand of that, we're very prideful, right? And we're so prideful that many have turned it into businesses, right? How many businesses are out there are CPO Woodwork, Coin 1893, this or that, or fucking April 1 this, General Order 409, like we are very prideful. And it's back to like the other part where we're talking about false bravado and a healthy ego. I think our pride, Pride was it? What's the? It's in the Bible, right? Pride cometh before the fall, or something. Like we're approaching that level. We're way too prideful. I think it's cool to wear a shirt every now and then, right? Like when it's a CPO function, when it's laundry day, when I'm doing yard work, right? Like that, wear a shirt, okay? I don't think your whole and this is something we talk about a lot on here, right? Your whole persona needs to be that of a chief, right? It's a great achievement, it means a lot more to a lot more people than it does me. I'm still very proud to be a chief and do my job as chief, and I feel good about the things I've impacted sailors with, but I don't. It's not. I don't know. I don't know how to put it into words. Maybe that's why I need to take an English class. But we need to steer away from the perception that Chief's mess is prideful and exclusive. I think we need to steer away from the prideful part. We need to reel that in a lot, right? But the exclusivity, don't take that as opposite. And I guess it is inclusive, exclusive, right? Opposites. But like it needs to be worked hard for, right? It should not just be, hey, and I see this, right? You see it a lot, right? Especially when you get into the mess and you start having the behind the door conversations of like, hey, who should be the Sailor of the Year? Who should be this? Who should be that? And you still, and maybe it's changing, but I think you still got like an old guard that still kind of thinks, and this is what I thought when I was a junior sailor. I saw like the CMCs and these chiefs, like sometimes I thought they were just picking the fucking, the married E5 with 3 kids that's been an E5 for 10 years and they're about to hit HYT. Excuse me. And that's going to be our cap because they need it. They didn't earn it. They just need it. And it's like, well, if they needed it that bad, they'd be earning it, right? So if you need to be a chief that bad to solidify your career, to make yourself feel like, oh, okay, I've done something in the Navy, then you should be earning it. That's how I look at that, right? But I still know people did be like, we need to make every first class a chief. No, you don't. I think some would consider that's inclusive. Every first class that's not inclusive. That's just opening the doors and be like, yeah, it doesn't really matter if you've actually put the work in or if you've earned it or not, or if you're competent. But you've been in 19 already. Let's put you on the board. I just don't think like that. Okay, that's just me. You let me know how you think about it down in the comments below. Like and subscribe while you're there. Turn on the bell for when we go live. How do you inspire cooperation in your team? Okay, every sailor has value and wants to excel. How can you ensure to leverage the talents of every sailor? Do you give all sailors a chance to voice their opinions? Do you consider sailors' ideas even when they're not aligned with your own? Do you show concern for sailors' well-being? All these questions. Do you take notice of other sailors' strengths? Do you take active role in mentoring sailors? Okay, a lot of questions. And again, this is supposed to be in the format where you're having these discussions within your mess, within your selectees during the season. I've said it since the first one. You can have these discussions in your division and ask your sailors, hey, do you guys think that I value your opinions and your ideas and this and that? Okay. And get some feedback and run with it. Do what you want with it. Okay. So leverage the talents of every sailor. I mean, again, I think word choices here of like, oh, you play guitar? Cool talent. Don't care. Go fucking count the parts. Right? Now, oh, you play guitar? That's a cool talent. There's a talent show coming up. Sign up. Have fun with it. Win. Represent. Okay? 2 different things. Do you give all your sailors a chance to voice their opinions? On what? What do I need your opinion for on telling you to go count the parts? Unless you have some other tasking that you need to inform me of, that's not an opinion. That's actually, Chief, I was working on these things, but I'll get to those afterwards. Okay, cool. Thank you. That's just communication. The ideas, even when they're not aligned with your own, I don't get this one, I think, the most, because I like my first gut answer is no. right? I don't consider sailors' ideas when they're not aligned with my own, because I'm thinking about something that needs to happen. Okay. If my idea is that all the parts on the pier, just taking it for what I can relate to, need to be off the pier and on the ship by the end of the day, and their idea is, no, we can leave it there, I'm not entertaining that bullshit. Okay. Now, me entertaining their ideas is, I don't care how it gets onto the ship. I don't care if you have to hump it up here. I don't care if you go make a drug deal with the bosun mates and they use the crane, right? I don't care how it gets on the ship. It needs to be on the ship before the day is over, preferably before lunch, and then the shit needs to get stowed and strike down. Okay, so you know what I mean? Like those, it's I don't know. It's like it's weird to try to entertain this one, even they're not aligned with your own. I would hope if I'm leading my division that their ideas are aligned with mine, because I've set out what the tasking is. Hey, this is how we need to get ready for this inspection, right? Now, this is how I could do it. This is how I could tell you to do it, but over you to come up with it, right? These checklists need to get checked. These POAMs need to be built. All this stuff. So they should already, like that to me is already automatic alignment. Like we're within the guardrails there. We're within our left and right lateral limits. Now move and operate within those. Okay. So, but again, that's just me. Do you show concern for a sailor's well-being? I kind of talked about that. Notice sailor strengths. Yes. That's the biggest one, right? Is like the strengths. Okay. If you see they're good in it somewhere, but again, what we do get caught up on is like, oh, you know what? They're super organized. They're really good with admin. They're really good with the paperwork and this and that. And then we shove them into like our administrative role, and they don't get any technical expertise or anything outside of that, because that's our deck yeoman or our RPPO or something like that. Right. So you got to be careful with that. Like, recognize that strength, recognize the weakness, and balance it out. All right. Anticipate problems, overcome challenges, and develop winning teams. Again, back to the planning of the administrative stuff, right? The anticipating problems, okay? Overcoming challenges. You overcome the challenge, but don't remove all obstacles and challenges from that sailor. It's experiences. Let them get that experience. Chiefs need to plan and plan early. Yep, no shit. All right, we've been talking about it. Oh, man. Chiefs make time to reflect on their leadership, their teams, and what will it take to develop a clear path to success? Okay, so where do we do that? How do we do that? When do we do that? I would always like to do that with the chiefs that I was closest to, that I admire and that I look up to, right? That are on the same wavelength as me, that we could look at each other and be like, really know that like you have the experience equal to or greater than myself, that I can trust gives me a good sounding board, okay? And let's sit in the mess and let's do that. Hey, I did this, I did that. Do you think that's going to work? No. Like, I was thinking about putting them in there. What do you think? No, you know what I mean? Like, because if they're out there doing everything I'm doing and being visible, setting the tone, then they should know something about my sailor that maybe I don't, right? Do you war game your plans and mentor your team to develop contingency plans? Yeah, I don't know if we say war game, but like, I don't know. I always looked at like, sit down with the LPO, sit down with the Divo, right? It depends on what you have in your command. Hey, look, this is what I have planned. Poke holes in it. Let's bounce this back and forth. Let's figure this out. Let's make it work. Okay. And do that. That's wargaming, I guess. Do you leverage ideas and innovation? Excuse me, I gotta get my water. I'm getting parched. Here we go. Of your most junior sailors, are you a leader? Hold on. Water break. Are you a leader in solving command problems and driving mission accomplishment through other teams? How about within the Chiefs mess? Do you actively seek to understand barriers to success? Do you act with purpose to remove the barriers before needing to elevate them? Do you encourage sailors to do their jobs and make decisions without much oversight? That's the biggest one for me right there, right? The biggest one is the last one. The last question MCPON just asked. Do you encourage sailors to do their jobs and make decisions without much oversight? We have got to do that more. I think we've gone. I felt like I had that when I was a junior sailor. I think we've gone away from it. We need to get back to it, and we need to get back to it quickly. One, because if there is a war in the future, sailors are going to need to make fucking decisions. They can't be looking around like, oh no, I need someone to tell me. Okay, that is, we need outside the box critical thinking, solving problems immediately. Okay, but then with everything else, it's just leader and solving command problems. And sometimes the command is the problem, right? Sometimes you get places and it's just like, oh, that's how we do it here, and you're like, yeah, no, but that's wrong. That's not how it's supposed to be done. And they just go, yeah, but no, you're not going to fix it, and we're not asking you to fix it, so just leave it. Okay. And then you just kind of wipe your hands. All right. Like, if other people don't want to take heed and listen, then you just kind of keep moving, because you're not Superman. You're not Super Chief. You're not going to fix every fucking problem. When you recognize things like that, then you go back to, all right, reset. In my own spot, what is wrong and what can I fix? And then we're going to let that trickle out, right? If I can't fix the bigger command issue because I brought it up and it don't want to be fixed, and the mess doesn't want to help fix it, or the wardroom don't want to help fix it, and we don't want to address it, then let me address it within my own division, my own department. And then we'll let everyone watch us on how we operate and how we're gonna be the change, right? And then it'll start happening. It takes time. It'll start happening. Advancing Navy culture. How is the culture you are responsible for connected to America's warfighting Navy and our greater Navy culture? This one here. Hold on, I'm gonna need a water break. I don't think anyone has positive, in line with 2024 societal concepts of what today, how we should act. That does not align with Navy culture, I don't think. It's just one of those. It doesn't. I'm not gonna. You know what I'm saying. I'm not gonna say it. Just because it's like America's warfighting Navy. Everything has been warfighting. How is the culture you're responsible for connected to America's warfighting Navy and our greater Navy culture? I don't know. That's a tough one, because I get we're trying to, and I've said it so many times today and in other episodes about warfighting stuff, right? But people don't really think of Navy as warfighting, right? When you say those things, you think like Marine Corps and Army, okay? And Navy, it's just like, oh yeah, the Navy, like. So it's hard to connect to say like this warfighting Navy culture, when for so long that has not been our culture. When people think Navy culture, they think drunk sailor in foreign ports and countries. That's what they think. Okay, that is also not wrong, but how can we change Navy culture to warfighting Navy culture, right? When people say warfighting Navy, they go SEAL culture. Right? Okay, well, what's their culture like? Does anyone know that? Right? If you really look into it, it's, again, not in line with a lot of shit of today's societal norms and what people are trying to change things to. Okay? I was watching it. It was popped up. It was like a Sean Ryan, and they asked him a question about something while he was in the teams, and he goes, a lot of hazing. One, hazing is zero tolerance. Right? So if there's a lot of hazing, that's a lot of people getting fired. So can we do that? No. Maybe they still get away with it over there, don't know or not. But if you were to haze in RegNav, regular Navy, that's all you fucked. You fucked so bad, right? And then there's what level of hazing, this and that. And so you don't want that. We've changed, the military changes culture from a hazing kind of culture from the 80s and 90s to get away from that stuff because it wasn't in line. So what is the warfighting Navy culture? I don't fucking know. I wish I could provide a better answer, especially after everything I say. But like, when you actually ask for the warfighting Navy culture, is it that we drill all the time, right? That we're always doing DC drills, we're always doing combat drills, like, and then people get tired of that. Is our warfighting culture that we can stay up for hours on end standing the watch properly? No, because that is detrimental, one, to health and to proper watch standing, as we've seen in with collisions in the past and things like that. So I think to answer this question, one, I think the Navy needs to, this is one of those ones where I'd actually ask, like, the Navy, like, what is warfighting Navy culture? How if we need to rebrand something, or like, that's maybe where we should start, right? Is warfighting, like, our health. We keep diminishing our PFA. I'm fucking fat boy right here, number one. Okay, I always raise my hand first. I tell you this, but like, where's our physical health? Not just sleep, but actual fitness in it, right? Are we going to actually start implementing that through part of our Navy culture to be better warfighters, so we could stand a better watch? So we're not relying on caffeine and Zen packets and white fucking monsters and all the jokes that are out there. You know what I mean? In addition to those captured in our mission, vision, guiding principles, and what other cultural attributes are necessary for chiefs? What about conscientiousness? That's a tough one. Conscientiousness, humility, humor, perseverance, adaptability, grit. Those are good ones. Humility is always going to get brought up. Humor, I don't know. I mean, like, if you know me personally, yeah, I'm a good time. Perseverance, I think we should definitely think about that. I think a lot of today's world is just like, oh no, it's hard, can't keep going, I'm out. Okay, like, I don't know what you're going to succeed in life ever. Okay, adaptability, huge one, right? And grit. I think grit's just a popular word since that movie came out or something, right? True Grit, I think it was. And then what was it? Fort Worth, I think, has grit in their motto. All right, here we go. Chiefs directly influence culture every day at every command in our Navy. We must build in our legacy of a warfighting Navy culture set by the chiefs that came before us. Their DNA is in every one of us, and we must tap into it to ensure our teams are connected and ready to win in combat. Yeah, I think that's said nicely. I agree. Right, it's something that I try to strive for. Right, it is, we all fail at times. Okay, but we strive for it. And I think that's where we get things mixed up. I think some chiefs think that we are that all the time. Other chiefs realize that we're striving for it and that there's mistakes. And I think junior sailors a lot of times, somewhere along boot camp or in the Navy or something, or chiefs impress upon them that we're infallible and that we're perfect and that there's so much trust the chief that we're never wrong, which we're not, right? But that we build such a high glass house, however you want to fucking say it, and the fall is hard and fast when we fall. Okay, so I think that's gonna wrap it right here. I'm gonna get back on schedule, all right, with live shows and everything else going on. Okay. Just started school. We'll probably have an update on school and how that's going. Just not about my own personal schooling and stuff, but about the U.S. Navy Community College, right? And I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, but it's super cool. Check it out. I'll do an episode on that where we'll just kind of talk about the program a little bit and what I've experienced. Just started like on week 1, but there's the personal coach from Arizona State. There's your advisors. There's coaches from the actual U.S. Navy Community College side. There's more help in the Navy Community College than I've ever seen anywhere else. I just started, and it's given me a real good warm and fuzzy that I'm going to be able to complete this before I retire and get that degree. It's only associates to start off with, but to get that degree in the maritime logistics program that's offered through ASU, or from ASU through the U.S. Navy Community College. So a little plug there for them if you're thinking about going to school and stuff like that. It's not TA, so you can start it sooner. Other than that, I was at home. I was back in San Diego for 2 weeks. Kids were on fall break. We had a great time, did a lot of things, we went fishing, went and did some fishing. That was fucking awesome. I loved it. Just good quality time. The whole family was home. We're all there. It was just great. But, other than that, like I said, I'm going to get back on schedule here. I have some people asking to be on the show. I just got to coordinate and get some good times. Probably do the weather's chilling out here a little bit. It's been nice and cool. So probably do some outside episodes because I can't really have guests here inside the RV. It's just not it's not set up for that. But at any rate, let's get out of here today. All right. I don't have my other show notes. Y'all know these views and opinions are of mine only, expressed by me, Josh Moore, not the representative of the Chiefs Mess, the DOD, or anybody else. I'm just here having a good time talking with you. All right. Go ahead and leave us a like if you enjoyed this content, if you found any value in it. Turn on the bells for notifications. We do go live here regularly, usually once a week when we're in the flow. And check us out on Spotify, on Apple, anywhere you want to stream podcast audio only, we're there. And, of course, here on YouTube. So we'll catch you all in the next one, y'all.